A man was dumped out of a helicopter and he dies on the spot. Reacher goes out to an ATM because he doesn't have enough money to buy clothes. When he's waiting in line, he sees an injured lady and notices a van on the side. So he asks her some questions before he walks up to the van to beat the carjacker. He gives the lady her keys and gets his money from the ATM to pay for his clothes. He gets a message from Neagley, so he calls her to find out Kelvin Franz was murdered. Reacher goes straight to New York to find out what happened to Kelvin. Kelvin tried to get Neagley to help him, but she was too busy until his wife Angela called her, and Reacher gives a detailed guess on what happened to him afterwards. When they visit Angela, Reacher notices a car following them. They try to cheer up Angela, and Reacher gets straight to the point. She tells them what happened and gives them a key to Kelvin's office. Before they leave, Reacher brings up the black car that might be following them, but Neagley brushes it off.
I'm pretty sure that black sedan halfway down the street was outside the diner, too.
There's a black sedan on every street in America.
Shane Langston tells Seropio to keep an eye on Reacher. When they reach Kelvin's office, they find it trashed, but Reacher thinks they didn't find anything they wanted. Neagley assumed Kelvin should have left the important items next door in his mailbox. They go to the post office, but it's closed, so they have to go tomorrow. When Reacher went to bed, he had a dream when he gathered a bunch of soldiers to become the Special Investigation Unit because the Army wants them to deal with complex matters.
Army wanted a unit for particularly complex matters when they arose. To do that, I need special investigators.
Their teamwork sucked at first, but he got everyone to work together after a bar fight with another unit. Reacher is woken up by a nightmare of Kelvin asking him what he will do. They go to the post office the next day and hash out a plan to check Kelvin's mailbox. Neagley distracts the clerk, but when Reacher was searching, an old lady called him out until he got Kelvin's mailbox. Reacher storms out after taking everything and finds a USB in one of the packages. Reacher wants a gun, but before he gets one, he goes to the church. Father tells Reacher whoever comes in for help gets their fix from Dumont at the east of the Rockaway. When Reacher arrives, he knocks one of them down with the car door and beats up the other ones. He robs them of their possessions while throwing away their drugs into the sewer and drives off.
I'll be taking this and this.
AM meets with people who sell fake passports, and once their deal is done, he kills them both. He goes to the airport to book a flight to Denver with his alias Andrew McBride. Neagley finds a room trashed and they both go in to check it out. They heard a sound from another room, so they get ready to end the intruder. They have a standoff, but O'Donnell has a blade aiming at Reacher's balls. They have a reunion and O'Donnell wonders who they are killing.
Who are we killing over it?
Neagley checks the USB, but it had a password and 2 minutes to figure it out or it will wipe out all the data. With their collective thinking, they guessed Kelvin's password, but it failed until O'Donnell types in Reacher and it was right. The files were a bunch of alias names and numbers, so they try to get the 110 unit back together. They go to Tony Swan's place, but no one was home, so they break in. O'Donnell finds his dog dead from dehydration, and Reacher assumes Swan is dead because he wouldn't do that to his dog. Reacher thinks someone is after the Special Investigator Unit, and he gets happy about it.
I'm thinking there's someone hell-bent on taking out the special investigators.
Good.
Reacher attacks the man who was following them, but they find out they attacked an officer named Brusso. When they go to the airport to switch cars, Reacher notices Carla Dixon and gets her to get a rental because the cops are looking for them. We get a flashback of Dixon telling Reacher a base is using too much fuel because they are adding extra contraband to the plane. Dixon tries to get Reacher to take her out, but he makes excuses not to go. Back to the present, Dixon is looking at the notes because she is good with numbers, but she can't make it out to anything, and they go to Atlantic City to look for their squad mates. Shane wants Seropian to take them all out at once, and Seropian wants to recruit his buddies to help out. Shane will cover the bill, but he wants them dead by tomorrow.
I just want them dead by tomorrow. Fucking dead.
When they reach to Atlantic City, Reacher breaks into Roscoe's office and finds it trashed also. They go to Lucky Lounge because Reacher sees Roscoe had a couple photos framed up with a girl in it. Reacher and Neagley goes inside without the others because they look like cops. When Reacher asks the bartender about Milena, they send them to the back while the bartender tells Milena to run away. Reacher and Neagley beats the men who entrapped them, while Dixon and O'Donnell catches a fleeing Milena. They ask Milena if she knows anything, and she tells them 650 at 100k each was the last thing Sanchez told her before disappearing. They go to a casino to figure it out because it might be messing with the casino's revenue. Reacher asks to speak with the head of security and Chief David welcomes them. They ask if he knew what 650 at 100k means, but he had no clue. Reacher wants him to run the names and also asks the other casinos if their books are fine. David gives them a sweet because it's going to take some time before they can get the information from him. Reacher goes for a snack run, and once he's done, he sees Dixon winning big in blackjack until the worker asks her to end the night. When they leave to go for a walk, she asks Reacher why they never got together, and the reason why Reacher didn't go for it was because he was her boss. They hopped the fence because they noticed people following them. They didn't use their guns because of the cops, so Reacher baits one of them to go to the construction site. He wraps his hand with a rope and goes after the guy. Reacher gets cut by the guy and he starts fighting seriously. He uses a shovel to parry his attack and ultimately throws him off the construction site. On the other side, Dixon faces off with the other guy. She beats the guy with a surprise attack, but Seropio shows up to shoot her. Dixon uses his own guy as a meat shield, and Reacher tackles Seropian down. Reacher starts beating him and using the cement to suffocate him. Reacher only finds his car keys on him, so they search his car. He finds profiles of their unit and a phone, so Reacher calls the most recent one. They both warn each other, but Shane sounds scared over the phone and hangs up.
You're fucking with the wrong guy, Reacher.
Then why are you the one that sounds scared?
Seropian didn't leave any ID to identify himself, but he left a parking pass, which gave them a clue. They tossed the bodies into the cement mix to get rid of the evidence. Back at the hotel, Reacher patches himself up while Dixon finds out she got nicked and didn't notice because of the adrenaline. So Reacher helps her out by putting rubbing alcohol on the wound. Dixon takes off her shirt to seduce Reacher and they enjoy a thrilling night together. The next morning, Reacher tells the other what happened last night and White shows up at the door to give them bad news. Police found 2 more bodies around the area and they knew it was their buddies. After asking around, they found nothing shady going down in the casino and nothing came up on the names. Dixon assumes it's a New York problem because everything seems to lead to New York.
You don't have anything to worry about? This has always been a New York case.
20 miles out of Denver, Colorado, AM meets with the man who gives AM a mission. 10 days earlier, 2 guards are beating Kelvin until Shane asks Kelvin what he knows. Shane breaks his legs because he doesn't want to talk and gets him ready onto the helicopter. Shane gives him one last chance, but Kelvin threatens him with Reacher, so the bodyguards tow Kelvin out the helicopter. Back to the present, Reacher goes to a gun shop to get more guns. He uses the law to borrow the guns from the shopkeeper and some hush money to make the deal go smoother. Reacher gives each of them a gun, but they get pulled over and the officer calls in for backup. Russo comes in to arrest Reacher, and Reacher gets O'Donnell to be his lawyer. He brings them to a room, but Reacher brings up Sanchez and Orozco being dead. Russo tries to reason with them because he wants to find out who did it, so they help each other out by answering questions. They tell him $650 at $100K and wants to know what this $65 million is for because it got his friends killed. Reacher calls Russo a dirty cop because he's doing this investigations under the books.
Well, there's one possibility I've been very open to, that it's you who's in on this.
I'm no dirty cop.
That triggered him, so he uncuffs Reacher and O'Donnell calms the situation down. Russo has a suspect because they searched Kelvin's office and found it from his printer. The suspect is Azari Mahmoud, a weapons broker, and Reacher thinks it's another alias of AM. Reacher gives Russo a list of alias AM uses to track him down. Russo finds out AM brought a ticket from Denver to JFK, and when he checks in, their guys will get him. On the other side, Dixon and Neagley visits New Age, and Marlowe tries to assist them. They ask who the parking pass belongs to, and she finds out it belongs to Trevor Seropian, who was there for an interview which had his address on it. When Dixon and Neagley were back at the motel, they talk about Reacher. Through the talk, Dixon realizes what the dates mean, and she wonders what they are counting because the last month seems bad compared to the first month. We get a flashback of the 110 unit investigating a murder case, and Reacher thinks the murders were due to heroin. Reacher thinks the Plainfield case Dixon brought up to him before is connected to heroin. Later on, they bust a low-level dealer with 48 bricks of 99% pure heroin.
Meaning this shit's so pure it floats.
How pure?
99%.
Dixon counts 47 bricks, and Swan finds one tucked away in his car, and assumes it got knocked over when they were transporting it. When AM checks into his flight, he notices people on the lookout, so he calls Shane to let him know he will be late. Shane is pissed because he wants to get this deal done as soon as possible because if it takes too long, it could lead to prison for them. AM calms Shane down and assures him that he will finish the job. Reacher and O'Donnell returns to the motel where Neagley gives Seropian's neighbor's number to Reacher so he can call her to confirm whether Seropian lives there. When they find out it's his house, they break in to find more information. Reacher tosses a pipe bomb inside and it hits one of the guards. They split up to search the house and kills whoever's inside. When Dixon shoots one of them, they were wearing a vest and acted dead until he had an opportunity to attack Dixon. O'Donnell rushes in to help, but a man comes out of the closet to attack O'Donnell. O'Donnell is getting his ass whooped until he pulls out his knife and brass knuckles to beat the man. On the other side, Dixon is struggling against her guy and runs out of bullets. Right before the guy ends Dixon, O'Donnell comes in clutch to end the guy. When they meet back together, Neagley makes a grand entrance by ending the only guy upstairs. Reacher chases a SUV when he notices it driving off. Neagley goes on the roof to guide Reacher to the SUV. Reacher uses a barbecue grill to stop the SUV and questions Brian, but he had a heart attack and died.
Are you having a heart attack? Really? Asshole.
Reacher goes back to the house to share the info and leaves because Mrs. Gottleman should have called the cops. When they go back to the motel, Russo comes in annoyed because they caused a scene in a suburban area. Reacher fills him in on what happened and gets confirmation New Age is behind it. Russo gives them bad news that AM knew he was being watched and got away, but Reacher thinks his plan is still in motion. Reacher gives Russo his number and Russo warns them before leaving. After Russo left, they broke into New Age to get whatever they can. They meet up at Dixon's car to escape and almost left Reacher behind. Reacher shows them a photo with Swan working for New Age and they go to a diner to go through what they took.
No fucking way.
Holy shit, it's Swan.
Swan is revealed as the assistant director of security at New Age, and Reacher thinks he was talking to Shane over the phone when he was testing the burner phone. Dixon finds Brian in there too, so now they have to look into everyone in that department. Neagley finds it odd Swan usually CCs Shane in all of his emails, but sometimes he doesn't when he's emailing Marlowe. Reacher brings up a contract and Malcolm Lavoie, a congressman who supports the company, might be getting hush money from them. Dixon wants to talk with Malcolm, but O'Donnell thinks it's better to talk with the legislative director because they have less security and he has dirt on them to make them talk. Russo is being chewed out by Marsh, his boss, because New Age got hit first before they could get a warrant to search the place.
You're NYPD, these are fucking PIs, for Christ's sake. Is this too fucking much for you, Russo?
AM goes to Dr. Manuel's office to kill him to take his glasses and wallet because they look similar. He also kills the secretary and closes the clinic. AM rents a car for 3 days to JFK with Dr. Manuel's ID. O'Donnell briefs them on Daniel and where he's going to be, so they plan to go there. Reacher finally answers Russo and gets him to do a background check on the security team. Before going, the girls plan to visit Marlowe while the boys plan to score some drugs.
Oh, we're gonna go score some drugs.
The girls break into Marlowe's home, but it was already open from the back. They go in ready to kill again, but think she bailed before anyone got to her because Dixon finds a bag full of money. Neagley is shocked because who would bail without their money or jewelry? On the other side, O'Donnell scares the drug dealer and he runs into Reacher's arms, knocking him down to be ready to be robbed of his drugs again. They suit up for a symphony while Dixon seduces Daniel to get his attention. On the other side, Reacher finally figures out the dates are a tally and where the 650 number came from.
Let me tally it up for you.
It's a tally.
Neagley messages Reacher Dixon is out with Daniel after the symphony. In the car, Dixon gets Daniel to do some coke, but Finley shows up to arrest him. Finley introduces Reacher and O'Donnell as FBI agents who asked about the Project Little Wing. Daniel talks and they find out Little Wing is an anti-missile software where they can use it in missiles to defeat all countermeasures, so it could re-attack an aircraft after it misses the first time. They find out New Age has 2 bases and leaves once they get all the information from Daniel. Reacher orders the girls to go to Denver to jam up the missile hardware, while the boys go to DC to get info on AM from Joe's contacts. When they go get food, a biker gang shows up to corner them and takes their guns away for a brawl. Reacher starts the fight by beating their leader. The others use their brass knuckles or their combat skills to beat the gang members who had knives. Reacher incapacitates the attackers while everyone else beats their opponents. Reacher calls Shane again and Shane tries to bribe Reacher, but all Reacher wants to do is throw his ass out the helicopter.
What is it that you want?
I want to throw you out of a helicopter.
Reacher is at O'Donnell's place because O'Donnell is getting his family ready to lay low for a bit. They visit Homeland Security to learn more about AM and find out he is an arms dealer. Before leaving, Reacher boldly says he'll make sure to kill them first before the law catches them. In Colorado, Dixon and Neagley pretends to be inspectors to check the Little Wing project. They discovered that New Age had just shipped out a bunch of missiles, and they learn from Foreman where the 650 number came from. When a truck breaks down, the New Age driver offers to help, but Oleg shoots him to take his truck. They hit the evidence by swapping the plates, but Dixon and Neagley arrive to find 2 stopped trucks. The hijackers started shooting at them while Oleg drove away, and they check if Dixon and Neagley were alive, but they were quickly taken care of by the 2 of them. Then Dixon and Neagley kills the last one and tells Reacher about the bad news. They also told him Swan was alive because he approved the shipments. We get a flashback when Reacher is selling heroin, but the operation goes south when a guy remembers Swan. Reacher kills the people closest to him, and Swan takes a bullet for Reacher before Reacher ends the shooter. AM tells Shane he has to pay more because Reacher's group is causing them too much problem, and Shane has a plan to take out Reacher's group. Senator Lavoie gets people to pick up Reacher, and Lavoie wants Reacher to do what he did in Margrave for the Little Wing project because it could endanger military and civilian aircrafts due to terrorism. They regroup at Kelvin's funeral to share the information they gathered. Reacher wants to know where the missiles are headed to so they can intercept it because AM will be there to exchange the money with the buyers. Reacher sees Russo talking with Mikey because he knows what Mikey is going through. Reacher finds out all the security from New Age are all former NYPD from the 3rd Precinct, and they were all dirty who had to take an early retirement due to an investigation. He also thinks Swan might be the leader who made the deals. Reacher sees a sniper and warns everyone. The gang slowly approaches the snipers using the tombstones as cover. They push up but they can't go close enough, so Reacher runs out to draw the attention while Neagley shoots down one of them and the other one escapes. Reacher chases after him but he gets away and Russo picks him up. They have a car chase and Reacher isn't happy with Russo's slow driving, so he helps by stepping on the gas.
I thought this was supposed to be a high-speed pursuit. You want to drive?
Yes.
They ram the sniper into a container and Reacher gets the sniper to talk by threatening a slow death. Reacher finds out Swan paid the snipers to take out the gang. He gets the sniper to get the rest of his money and provides a layout of the building. When the sniper walks into the building, it explodes, killing him on the spot. They flee from the scene and go to a kid's playground. O'Donnell thinks Swan is responsible because everything seems to point to him. Russo tells them the bomb was meant for them and Swan was nowhere to be seen. Also, Marlowe's car was spotted near north of Manhattan. They go to check the car but no one was inside. Reacher decides to check the CCTV footage in the convenience store. Neagley noticed Jane, the daughter, playing the Nintendo Switch and wants to know her gamer tag so she can track her IP to find their location. When AM is using the washroom, an officer writes a ticket for AM. When she checks his ID, he kills her from behind. He cleans up the area and takes the recording to not leave any evidence behind. They go to Marlowe's house to find Jane's gamer tag and Neagley tries to meet her online. Reacher takes the chance to rest up and Dixon joins him for some passionate lovemaking because she had pent-up stress from all the crazy shit going down.
To put it mildly, I've got some pent-up tension.
We have a flashback when Hortense Fields tells him to shut down Operation Kite Runner because the colonel is being promoted and it would look bad for him if people found out about it. Reacher lashes out and Field threatens to discharge all of them if they continue looking into it. Dixon snaps Reacher out of his post-nut clarity because he was thinking about their last case as the 110th unit, which went to shit, and maybe this one will also turn to shit. She promises to kill Swan if necessary and Neagley walks in on them because she got their address. Russo goes to Marsh's house to confront him on selling Reacher out to New Age. Marsh tries to justify his actions, but Russo is pissed off because of his belief and he doesn't want to see planes falling from the sky.
And it's raining plane parts in Los Angeles, Chicago, New York again. What are you gonna do when you find out that they fucking lied to you?
Marlo is staying at Chad's house for the night and the sprinkler suddenly turns on. Chad goes out to turn it off and Reacher brings him into the garage to meet Marlo. They start questioning Marlo for setting them up and finds out Swan was trying to stop the operation because Marlo didn't like the security team. Swan found it odd that Little Wing chips were being flagged as defective more than usual and told Marlo about it. Swan disappeared after trying to get the 110 unit to help him with the investigation. She also doesn't like Shane because he blackmailed her into taking bribes, so she won't look clean if they got caught, and that's why she went into hiding. Back at New Age, Shane informs Russell, the engineer, that the buyer won't pay unless he knows how to install the chips. Russell promises Shane he will teach the buyer with ease. Marlo calls Shane to inform him that Reacher questioned her and how she lied to Reacher, so Shane sends some men to get her. Reacher gets Russo to protect Jane while they use Marlo to bait out Shane's men so they can deal with them. Russo can't stay in his house because Marsh knows where he lives after confronting him. When Russo is backing out of his driveway, he notices someone following him and they start shooting at him. On Reacher's side, they go to the meetup location and Reacher tells her what she needs to do. An SUV shows up with Shane inside. He sees Marlo talking with someone and he knows it's a setup.
Who the hell is she talking to? Fuck, it's a setup. Get her.
Reacher runs out to save her and they start a shootout. Everyone shoots at the SUV and when the SUV U-turns, they get off the bus and they go on the hunt. Neagley pulls up and they escape, but Reacher stays behind because he has unfinished business. Shane's men shoot at them and he orders the men to go after Reacher instead of the others. Reacher hides and when the SUV drives by, he shoots the tires, forcing them out of the car to battle. He goes into a bus and ambushes one of them who followed him. When Reacher is choking him, the man made enough noise for someone else to hear it. Once Reacher chokes him out, he goes into hiding to get his next victim. The next man struggles when getting choked out by Reacher and also made noise alerting another guy. The next one sees his buddy knocked out so he doesn't go into the bus. When he steps back, Reacher drags him under the truck to take him out. Reacher calls out to Shane because he is blocked in without any escape route.
It's just you and me now, Langston. The place is surrounded by a barbed wire fence. There's only one exit, and you gotta get past me to reach it.
He spots where Shane is hiding with the phone ring and he goes after him. A helicopter shows up to save Shane and he is able to get away from Reacher. Neagley calls Russo so they can find his location to give him backup. A garbage truck gets in the way of Russo and he is forced into a dead end. He is forced to face off against 3 shooters, and before he gets into the gunfight, he gets Shane to run away. Russo takes 2 of them out, but he also received heavy injuries. When she stops to look back, one of them is right in front of her ready to shoot her. Luckily, Neagley comes in clutch and hits the guy with the SUV. She runs to Russo to hold him before he dies from the gunshot wound. They go back to the motel to relocate Marlo and Jane to Buffalo because Dixon has someone she trusts over there. Reacher wants Dixon and O'Donnell to keep them safe when sending them off, while Neagley and Reacher visits Marsh because Reacher knows he's dirty. They go to Marsh's place and Reacher gets Neagley to stay on the lookout, while Reacher gets payback for Russo. When Marsh is packing up, Reacher surprises him and warns him not to do anything stupid. Marsh didn't know they would kill Russo and Reacher gives him an ultimatum to either tell him everything and turn himself in or get wrecked by Reacher. He chose to fight and Reacher smashed him into the corner to ask him where the meetup is at. Marsh doesn't know anything, and right before Reacher shoots him, he tells Reacher about Grant, who is in the hospital and might know where they are meeting up. Marsh tries to grab his gun again, and Reacher finishes the job by shooting him. We get a flashback when Reacher tells his unit about a huge deal going down tonight, and Dixon reminds Reacher about field axing the operation. Reacher gives a compelling speech to continue the operation, and he lets them decide if they want to stay for the operation.
And every one of you are free to walk out of here right now with your chin held high.
They all decide to stay for the operation and they hit the base later that night. They detain the soldiers and start searching the Humvees, but they can't find anything. Reacher notices a plug on the spare tire and finds it loaded with a substance. The others check the spare tires and notice they all have plugs, so they arrest the soldiers. Unlucky for them, the buyers showed up and they are forced to engage in a gunfight. The soldiers attack Reacher's unit while the rest of the unit dealt with the buyers' henchmen. Reacher takes out a couple of them before taking cover while everyone else takes care of their foe. When they finish cleaning the area, Neagley points out a runner. Reacher takes a Humvee to knock the man over when he was climbing the fence and he breaks his leg on the fall. Reacher arrested him and they go back to celebrate their final victory as a unit together. Fields show up to dismiss them all from the 110 Special Investigation Unit. Once he leaves, Reacher dismisses them and they go back to celebrating.
1/10. Dismissed.
Back to the present, they go to the hospital to question Grant. Grant doesn't want to talk, so Reacher tries to blow up his balls and he starts screaming in pain. He spills the beans and tells them where the meetup is at. Before they leave, Reacher makes sure he dies without suspicion because they killed Russo. When they were leaving, they spot an assassin who was there to kill Grant. He runs away from them and they chase after him. They split up after turning the corner and the assassin attacks Neagley when she walks into the room. She defends herself but gets cut when fighting him. Right before he kills Neagley, Reacher unplugs the machine. Reacher beats the man and wants to question him, but he fell on the cutter, which killed him. Reacher calls Shane again and he finds out Dixon and O'Donnell was captured by them. Shane wants Reacher and Neagley to be detained by his men when they are doing the deal. Reacher tells him Neagley died by the assassin and he wants proof of life before he goes to surrender. Reacher calls Lavoie to get him to send backup and they go to New Age to scout the place. A couple of kids start drinking in front of New Age and argue with the security, which gave Reacher an idea. AM meets with Oleg to check the missiles and gets Oleg to take him to the engineer. Inside New Age, Lennox is torturing O'Donnell because Reacher killed his buddy and Parker stabs Dixon. Reacher goes to New Age to surrender himself and Shane brings out his friends. Neagley watches Reacher get detained and she sees her friend strapped to a stretcher. Reacher is surrounded by Shane's men and he refused to get tied up.
Clement.
No.
The next steps up, but Reacher headbutts him and he starts resisting the other guards. Reacher wrecks them until Shane pulls out a gun asking about Neagley because they couldn't find her body. Shane shoots O'Donnell because he can't kill Reacher until they get Neagley. He starts beating Reacher and he tells them his grand plan, but Swan and Reacher messed it up. Shane brings out Swan's eye because all he needed was his fingerprints and retina to frame Swan for everything. Once he tells him the plan, he leaves to meet with AM to get his money. On the outside, Neagley quickly snipes out 2 guards and calls in for backup. She sees a plane fly by and people parachuting out of it. Once Beckett, Hart, and Seaver lands, they get ready to make a grand entrance. She hears a helicopter and sees people loading Dixon and O'Donnell onto the helicopter. Neagley is outside playing loud music while Reacher gets the nail from his boot to uncuff himself. Shane packs up the evidence and swears to get Neagley's father to bait her out.
I may have some of my guys go by and find Neely's father, pick him up. That ought to flush her out of the woodwork.
When Beckett shuts off the power, they move in to kill whoever is in their way, and Neagley shoots the guard outside. During all the commotion, Reacher runs away, and when he has a chance to attack, he took it, killing a couple of them. Neagley shoots down 2 men when they're telling the pilot to stay put. After taking them out, Neagley goes inside to help Reacher. Shane escapes to the helicopter and gets the pilot to fly away. Reacher sees him leaving, so he gets Neagley to cover him while he chases after the helicopter, and Reacher is able to cling onto the wheel before it gets too high. Shane gets Parker to open the back door so they can throw them out, but Reacher climbs in to beat the living hell out of them. Shane tries to shoot Reacher, but O'Donnell got in his way, and Reacher attacks him. When Shane misfires, the pilot freaks out, destabilizing the helicopter. Right before Dixon flies out of there, Reacher saves her in time. When the helicopter stabilizes, Parker stabs Reacher, but Reacher is able to beat him, and when Parker is knocked over, he bumps into Dixon. Reacher saves her in time, but Shane starts kicking him out of annoyance. Dixon is able to free herself from the stretcher and helps Reacher take out a pesky Parker who is threatening Reacher.
Use your pal's brass knuckles and smash your skull, or you can let the bitch fall.
She frees O'Donnell and warns the pilot not to mess around. Reacher gets a hold of Shane and throws his ass out of the helicopter, just as he promised. They get the pilot to take them to where the deal is going down. AM arrives to the meetup and sees a helicopter, so he assumes Shane is already there. When they walk to the house, Neagley shoots down Oleg, and they bring AM to the house to find out who the buyer is. AM tries to justify being the seller, so Reacher takes the first shot.
Besides, your issues aren't with me. I don't fire the weapons. I'm the middleman. It's just business.
The others follow shortly afterwards until he drops. They go to the barn to deal with Russell and the pilot, and Reacher lets them go after hearing their excuse. When they fly away on the helicopter, Reacher gets Neagley to shoot down the helicopter with Project Little Wing. The missile misses at first, and it re-aims itself, taking down the helicopter. Lavoie orders his goons to take out Reacher's group because he doesn't want anybody to know about the Little Wing project.
But Senator Lavoie was clear. No one can ever know what really happened. Can't take the risk one of you might talk.
Reacher knew they would betray them, so Reacher called Omar from Homeland, and they came right on time to arrest Lavoie's goons. Reacher calls Lavoie to tell him his plan failed, and Omar sends his men to arrest Lavoie. Before they leave, Omar asked about the money, but Reacher played it dumb, and they went to a diner.
Where's the money?
What money?
They get Reacher to deal with the $65 million because he has no attachment to money, nor does he care about it. He blesses everyone who was a part or inadvertently a part of this mess by giving them a boatload of money to their families. They sit at a campfire for a job well done to toast to their buddies who helped in this investigation. Before they go their separate ways, they take another group photo. In the morning, Dixon gives Reacher a gift, and before she leaves him, she wants to have one last round, so they enjoy their last moments together. Neagley sends Reacher off and orders him to stay in touch with them. Reacher gets on the bus and an old man asks where he's going, but Reacher has no idea where he's going.
So where you headed? No idea.
Well, that ends it for this recap of Reacher Season 2. If you got up to this point, here are some other recaps on the side. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.